Fox News alert now and new details on the massacre of 23 people at that museum in Tunisia. ISIS claiming responsibility, and we have new video today, and we warn you this is graphic. Some of these, the first pictures we're seeing of what happened inside that museum, a massacre. We're also getting new reports, the gunmen shouting in Arabic for all Muslims to, quote, lower their heads, a key sign that they were targeting Westerners. Illinois Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger, also Air National Guard pilot, with me out of D.C. And, sir, good morning to you. So the eyewitnesses that lived in the local hospitals in Tunis say they were screaming, lower your heads, in Arabic, and that would be a clear sign who they were after.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is obviously, apparently, I guess, targeting Westerners here. So this would be something more than just trying to destabilize Tunisia. Again, Tunisia has been a really great example, probably one of the only examples of what's worked in the Arab Spring. They've had successful transfers of power, a democracy that's being built up despite a bad economy. And this is now the new frontier of ISIS. I mean, a month ago we were shocked to find out that ISIS was developing and establishing itself in Libya. Today now we find out Tunisia, you know, what's next? Morocco, you know, where else? And so this is essential to say today that we stop the movement of ISIS in Tunisia. We work with the Tunisian government, that's our friends, and push back this growing movement of ISIS, and we destroy them where they exist. Otherwise,
I mean, listen, where does it stop? Apparently, these men were trained at a jihadist camp in Libya to the east. You have 3,000 Tunisians who have joined the fight in Iraq and Syria in that ongoing war.
Yeah. Well, look, it doesn't stop until we stop it. You know, look, we'd love to think that this would just burn itself out and, you know, somehow people would get tired and say, well, you know, that was enjoyable for a time, but it's time to go home. It's not going to happen. These folks are true believer in the idea of a new Islamic caliphate, and it's frankly going to take blunt force to stop them. And unfortunately, whether we like to admit it or not, the United States is the only country with the capability to unite our allies to do that and to do it ourselves. So we can sit back and pretend like this is going to burn itself out and go away, but it's not.
All right,
and it's essential that we stand up.
What will it take then to make that happen?
Well, I think it's going to be a number of things. Intelligence community working hard, which I'm sure they actually are. It's going to take intense military strikes, I think, with even the Egyptian government to root out terrorism in Sinai, in Libya, to work with the fledgling Libyan government, the Tunisian government. And that's just, you know, the outer extremes of where this is growing. We still have Iraq to deal with, pushing out Iranian influence, but working with the Iraqi government to defeat ISIS, working with the Kurds to defeat ISIS, arming the Kurds, giving them what they need, and embedding American forces in with these frontline units, you know, special operators, etc., to call direct air support on these folks where they exist. That's not even to mention what's going on in Syria. Syria is such a bad situation. Bashar al-Assad is the incubator of ISIS. That's going to be a few years in the making. But I think it's important for the president, and I said this before, the president needs to give an address from the Oval Office, not a podium at the White House, the Oval Office, and say how important this fight is and how he is going to unite the world against ISIS. And I think that would do a lot to boost our allies.
I mean, you think that's going to happen?
No, I mean, I really don't. If it happens, it's going to be because the president's forced to, because this is going to continue to snowball into something bigger.
That may be the case. There's a group associated with al-Qaeda coming back to Tunisia, and apparently they posted this online, okay? This is with regard to the attack in the museum. Took this from the New York Times today. Celebrating the sharp collapse of the Tunisian markets after a simple operation involving only 2 individuals. This is their statement now. It continues. What do you think would happen if an organized attack happened and simultaneously on several military, vital, and tourist targets? End quote. These attacks, in essence, were easy.
Yeah. Look, we have to, at our own peril, do we ignore those warnings? In many cases, we find out when a terrorist attack happens, there were indications in the media or in Twitter that something like this was going to happen. Look, these groups, they don't have to rely anymore on somebody taking an envelope to somebody else to organize an attack. You have email, you have Twitter, you have Facebook, all these new media things, and so we have got to fight with 21st century tools, 21st century tactics that these folks are employing. So Again, Tunisia is a very strong country. It's got its challenges. I believe the Tunisian people will rise up against ISIS. That's why they're recruiting out of Tunisia instead of into Tunisia. I hope I'm right, too.
Listen, they were an example of democracy in that region, and they've gone a long way to try and make that happen. Sir, thank you for your time today. Adam Kinzinger, Republican from Illinois in Washington, D.C., with us today.